Okay guys, I have to say I'm a little miffed. You know, I sent a link of this video of the shock blown apart to Rancho and to the company. They basically said, well, if it's in warranty, you can send it back to the company you bought it from and get it warranted. Anyway, that kind of surprised me, sort of, because I've had companies in the past that, when you have something that's what you're pretty sure is a manufacturing defect and you call them even though it's out of warranty, they're like, oh yeah, that's, we've changed our engineering, let's send you a new one. And I've had that happen with, different products, not all the time, but sometimes. And I kind of expected Rancho to do that. But this, I don't see how this is my fault at all. Rancho even sells a replacement part for when these break, to replace this knob. So, it's an anticipated event, and it shouldn't come flying apart like this. Anyway, I'm disappointed in Rancho in that sense, but it is out of warranty, so I sort of understand. Anyway, I got a new one. We're getting it put on, and I'm going to put it behind me and move on. Okay. Pretty sad. Okay, let me just say this. When you're putting these bolts in at the top here, don't use your impact unless it's a light impact, but the 1/2-inch drive impact is not the tool to use. I broke one of these bolts using this Harbor Freight earthquake, whatever, 1/2-inch impact. And I don't know how many foot-pounds it makes. It doesn't matter, but I broke one of the bolts, and it was a pain in the butt to get that unthreaded from up there. So my recommendation is if you want to use it to pull them out, definitely do so. But when you're putting them back in, definitely put them in by hand. Hand thread them up and then just run them down with a ratchet and tighten them down like that. This is not a factory bolt, you can see. It's a metric graded bolt, so this is what I had to replace them with. And the easy thing to do is, as you're looking up here to this upper shock mount up here, there's the lower shock mount there, and here's the upper one up here. Just leave one threaded up, halfway, that you can slide the bar into, and then you can hand thread the other one, and that'll just kind of help hold your shock in place. So here's the new shock. And, this is disappointing, but we're going to turn this into a learning opportunity. We're going to talk about how this works, how you can remember which way to turn it when it's raining or snowing or pouring or blowing or whatever, and you can't really see the stupid numbers because I can barely see them under here with good light. So which way do you turn it, and how do you know which way is which? Especially if we're going to mount it like this, which I'd like to do. I'd like to mount it like that to protect the knob now, but then I'm going to have to reach inside of here and remember which is clockwise, which is, counterclockwise. So what you do is you turn the knob all the way counterclockwise to soften it. Okay, counterclockwise, or just like you're turning it out. And I'll show you with the old one that broke why that makes sense. Okay, and then if you want to stiffen it, you have several settings here. There's 2, 3, 4, and you can kind of feel the little detents as it stops. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, turning it clockwise in all the way to 9 is the hardest setting. Okay, so backing it off is just like you're unthreading something and taking the spring tension off. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's go to the bench. Okay guys, let's just talk about how this works. Now, when this came flying apart, this was basically how it went together right here. Of course, I had the knob on top too, but when I took this off, this came flying out. And this came flying out because this little circlip wasn't holding this in anymore. Okay, so anyway, how this valving works and why when you turn it to the right, it gets firmer, and when you turn it to the left or counterclockwise, it gets softer. Here's why. Let's look at the knob first, and then we'll look at this part right here. So the knob obviously is broken off, but you can see here where the plastic has broken and it looks all kind of, I don't know, damaged right there. It's actually attached right there. So when you turn the knob, that's actually turning this center piece right here. It's not turning this outer piece. This outer piece is fixed, and you can see the little bumps on it, right? There's 4 little bumps that go around. Those little bumps are the bumps that go inside these little holes. So as you're turning it, that's the detents that you feel as you turn it, bump, 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 and for the different positions, right? So that's pretty simple. Now, when you turn the knob all the way to the right, let's say, like you're turning it clockwise, you're turning it like that. That's, of course, turning that part, which turns this part right here. And this part right here, if you turn it clockwise or turn it to the right, like we were doing, like we were turning the knob up here, you can see it gets longer and longer. And as that gets longer and longer, what that does is that pushes against this part right here inside the shock. Okay, and so when this part gets longer and pushes against this, it compresses the spring and pushes this brass looking piece hard up against that hole in the opposite side there. Hopefully that's coming out in the camera. There's a hole straight back there, and that's what this brass piece sits against when it goes in like that. Okay, so the more force that this brass piece is putting against that hole, because this brass piece just barely covers that hole, the more force it's putting on it, the less oil can flow, or the harder it is for oil to flow by it. Now, and obviously if you back the knob off, that'll lessen the spring tension, and then when oil tries to push past this part right here and flow around it, it's more easy for the oil to push past it, because it can compress it more easily. Okay, so that's pretty simple, right? Now the oil flow in this shock, I don't know exactly how it goes, but I do know it comes out that hole in the back here and comes into this reservoir right here. Where it goes from this reservoir, it goes up another hole right here, and if you can watch my little hook there, watch it disappear up here in this corner. It kind of disappears up there. Hopefully that's coming out. I'm not shadowing it too much. But anyway, that's where the oil goes. Where it goes from there, I don't know exactly, but it doesn't matter, because the whole idea of just explaining this was to explain why when you turn the knob clockwise, it screws this piece longer, which effectively pushes on this piece and drives it harder into the shock, which pushes this brass-looking piece against the hole back there. And so the harder that is against the hole, the more firm it is, the harder it is for oil. As the piston in the shock comes down this way and pushes oil, and if the oil tries to come out that hole, this is resisting against it, right? And if this is cranked down all the way, then it's going to have its most resistance, and that's going to be the most firm ride, right? Because the piston's not going to be able to come down very fast or easily. Now, of course, if we back it off, if we turn the knob counterclockwise like this, what that does is it turns this backwards and backs it off, right? And so that backs the pressure off this right here, so that releases the tension on the spring, or some of it anyway. And so then when the shock gets compressed and tries to push oil out that hole, this is of course occluding the hole. That's a lot easier for oil to flow past this because it can compress easier. Okay, that's all. Okay, so I don't know if righty-tighty is really a good way to remember it, but righty-tighty makes it harder, and lefty-loosey makes it looser or softer. So we're just going to hang this one up here. I'll just put a little tweak on it with the 1/2-inch drive. Yep. Good. So I'm just going to make sure the knob is all the way counterclockwise. Okay, so looking down on the shock knob, I can kind of reach around that side a little easier than I can this side. There seems to be more working room here, and it's all the way counterclockwise, so it's the softest. If I want to turn it in, if I can get my hand up above here, I can turn it. Okay, but I think if I get a finger on each side here, I can... Wow, this is not easy. And I have no idea where I'm at. There's 4. This might not be the best plan. Oh man, this is not easy. I thought this would be a lot easier than this. Yeah, I don't know if this is going to work. Backing it off is definitely a lot easier. And I'm back to 1 really easily there. But compressing it in is not easy. Okay, so this is the passenger side. And I thought it was going to be all cool and switch the driver's side around too. And look how close that is. That is way too close. And so I don't think we can make that work. Any suspension movement is just going to break that one off. So I'm going to go ahead and relocate this one to the outside. I might leave that one for now. But if I find it's just too much of a pain to adjust, I'll just flip it back around. And something that helps here is an alignment tool. Yeah. And hopefully it'll stay in place there. Yep. Okay, guys, I hope this video helped you. You know, my buddy that runs these shocks keeps a spare one of these on a shelf. So I don't know how many he's broken, but apparently he's broken them before. And I guess that's just what I'm going to do. I'm going to order a spare. And hopefully if I have to change it, it won't blow apart again. Okay. Thanks for watching. Hope this helps, and we'll see you next time.